Tonight, an independent investigation has cleared an RNC officer in the shooting death of a man this summer. Plus,
he can't eat because he knows he's going to be in pain. And almost having a cup of tea, or he's just drinking some broth. He was drinking Boost and Ensure and all this stuff, but none of it was working.
A Labrador man was starving and in intense pain for months until he and his wife were forced to drive 1,000 kilometers for help.
What happens if you need home care paid for by insurance, but those payments stop coming?
I can't eat, I can't sleep, I wake up in panic attacks.
I'll tell you about a senior dealing with that situation coming up on Here and Now.
2028 is probably a more reasonable goal, and I'll be training for that for the next 5 years.
I think going forward, the future is very, very bright for him.
A St. John's teenager is making huge waves on the national swim scene. We're going to meet 18-year-old Chris Weeks. That story is coming up.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. The province's independent police watchdog has cleared a Royal Newfoundland Constabulary officer who shot and killed a man in June. The Serious Incident Response Team released their report today. It details how an officer shot Omar Mohammed once after Mohammed threw a hammer and brandished 2 knives. Here and Now's Ariana Kelland has the details.
This was the aftermath on June 12th. Earlier that morning, a police officer shot and killed 38-year-old Omar Mohammed. This report released today by the Serious Incident Response Team details what investigators found. At the time of his death, Mohammed was essentially homeless, staying with a friend while waiting for income support to give him a rent check. But days before the shooting, an employee at the Income Support Office said she wouldn't, not until he turned himself into police. He had been wanted on a warrant issued a year before. Mohammed was frustrated and said he'd be back. He wasn't supposed to be let in the office, but was on the morning of the shooting. Workers called police, who arrived an hour later. Backed up by witnesses and video, the officer and police cadet in training say Mohammed threw a hammer at them, went for a knife, and lunged at them. A male constable fired a single shot, then immediately started CPR. Mohammed died soon after. CERT Director Mike King wrote, "The officer's use of force was necessary and justified given the circumstances as they existed at the time. The subject officer was protecting himself, his fellow officer, and the employees working at Regatta Plaza." In King's report, he made reference to multiple instances of interactions Mohammed had with police. Mohammed's roommate says he's saddened by the report and says Mohammed needed mental health support from the moment he got to Canada from Sudan. That in itself, he says, is a failure. Ariana Kelland, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, he wasn't there in person, but Constable Joe Smythe's Public Complaints Commission hearing began this morning. He says he's not guilty of conduct unbecoming of a police officer. The hearing heard from Andrew Abbas, the man who made the complaint. It's in relation to these BBM messages between retired officer Tim Buckle and Smythe, wherein Smythe called Abbas a loser. The hearing will be back in session later this month. A Labrador woman wants answers. She says her husband nearly starved to death while waiting for care from a specialist, she says, who may have been left in the dark. Here Now's Heidi Adder has that story.
Scott Russell was in intense pain, starving and unable to eat for months. He believed he was experiencing an artery blockage, similar to one he'd had in 2022. A stent solved the issue. But Russell continued making trips to the Labrador Health Centre's emergency room. That's because he kept losing weight, about 80 pounds in a year, down to a lean 112 pounds.
He's not eating. He can't eat because he knows he's going to be in pain. And almost having a cup of tea, or he's just drinking some broth. He was drinking Boost and Ensure and all this stuff, but none of it was working.
Russell got a referral to see his cardiovascular surgeon in St. John's in August. In fact, 4 Labrador doctors reached out on his behalf, so the couple waited. Weeks went by with no word. In the meantime, they kept going to the ER and kept being turned away. Staff, Campbell says, told them all that could be done was try to manage the pain.
We had no quality of life, none whatsoever, and it just seemed like everybody was just saying, oh, well, we can't do anything, just give you pain pills and Gravol and just wait. Wait, and we're saying, wait, for how long? You'll be dead soon, you'll be starved to death.
That was the tipping point. The pair drove more than 1,000 kilometers to Corner Brook. Russell was admitted to the Corner Brook Western Memorial Hospital on September 1st. A week later, a call from the specialist came. The following day, Russell was medevac to St. John's. The day after that, surgery for another stent.
Even in a couple of days, he could start eating and he wasn't having pain.
Campbell says she spoke to the surgeon about their troubles getting in touch and was surprised by his response. According to Campbell, the surgeon said no one had phoned or contacted him before that week. This despite medical records showing multiple doctors reached out to his office.
So there's something wrong somewhere. There's miscommunication. And I don't know. I don't know what happened. But whatever happened shouldn't have happened, because Scott was starving to death all this time.
Campbell wants the province to get to the bottom of it so no one else has to suffer the same way.
People make mistakes, yes, but it seems like there were too many mistakes made in this case, or too many things overlooked. I see the doctors and nurses working very hard. Yeah, but I think this is a system that needs to change.
NL Health Services says it's actively working to improve patient care, and wait time for specialists can vary. It says improving wait times is a priority and new initiatives are being reviewed. The Department of Health and Community Services says it's requested NL Health Services investigate Russell's case. Back home in Northwest River, Russell is regaining his strength, as well as some of that lost weight. He's already up about 30 pounds. Heidi Adder, CBC News, Happy Valley, Goose Bay.
A new report by the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives says people who make minimum wage in this province need another $9 to $11 more an hour just to get by. According to the report, the living wage was set at $24.20 in eastern Newfoundland, $23.95 in the central region, and $23.80 in western Newfoundland. In Labrador-Grenfell, the living wage was highest at $26.80 per hour.
There's a huge difference between the minimum wage in this province and the living wage. And what that report captures is just how big that difference is. And what that says is that it really is challenging for low-wage workers to be food secure, that food insecurity is not just something that you see in folks who are living, say, in the deepest poverty, or folks who are relying on income support. It's something that's really present in low-wage workers.
Well, advocates say childcare can be one of the biggest financial issues for parents. Affordable childcare spaces, they say, enable parents to return to work sooner. And while $10 a day childcare is helping parents, the lack of spaces remains an issue, especially outside of the St. John's metro region.
We actually only have 127 licensed childcare spaces in the whole province for kids under 2. And we know that's a really big problem, because when your maternity or parental leave benefits end at 12 months, what are you supposed to do between that 1 year period where you have really no chance of finding regulated childcare? I think what this report really does is it continues to show all of the really important reasons to make investments in affordable childcare.
Well, a St. John's senior is worried he'll lose home care because his insurance company was too backlogged to send him money. Ron Oliver says delayed claims left him paying for his care out of his own pocket for months. He's since gotten his money, but there's no guarantee it won't happen again. Here Now's Daryl Roberts reports.
This is how Ron Oliver begins every day, with coffee made by his home care worker, Emily Colbert. He's partly blind and has mobility challenges, but having home care means he can live in his own home.
If she wasn't here, well, I don't know what I'd be able to do. I can't cook for myself, I can't get up and go to the bathroom, I can't get a bed. I'll scamming time, I'll try to get a coffee, hope I don't spill it. But other than that, this is my life.
Oliver says every month he pays for home care with his own money. Then his insurance company, Canada Life, reimburses him. But Oliver says a few months ago, those payments stopped coming. He says he contacted Canada Life several times in late November, but the company told him they were short-staffed and had a backlog of claims. Canada Life wouldn't comment on Oliver's situation specifically, but a spokesperson said the company is committed to delivering benefits to provincial government employees and retirees. Oliver says he can't afford to keep paying out of pocket, and the stress was weighing on him.
I can't eat, I can't sleep, I wakes up in panic, has panic attacks. I think I heard the phone ringing and I jump up and I don't know if it's day or night, so who's calling? I don't have a clue. I'll be honest with you, my friend, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do.
Then, last week, Oliver got good news. Canada Life paid out his claim. But now he's worried this could happen anytime the company has a backlog. Meanwhile, the executive director of the Public Sector Pensioners Association says they're seeing situations like Oliver's more and more.
What the gentleman is actually saying about there being backlogs in payments due to staffing shortages, due to however the processing is done, seems to be more common nowadays or lately than we've heard before. I've heard of people who've been like months waiting to get their portion of the reimbursement back to them.
Callahan says the Pensioners Association sometimes takes up individual cases. And if you're having an insurance issue, it can be a good idea to let the seniors advocate know. They can step in if there's a systemic problem. Daryl Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, that's the scene at Murray's Garden Centre in Portugal Cove, St. Philip's tonight, where the Liberal Party announced Fred Hutton will be their candidate in a by-election. He's currently a senior advisor to Premier Andrew Furey. As you can see, Furey was there in the room at Hutton's announcement. Hutton is a former journalist. Before he worked for the Premier, he was a TV and radio host with NTV, CBC, and VOCM. Today, he explained why he wanted to put his name on that ballot.
I know the people, I know the issues, and you know me. A 30-plus year career in journalism allowed me to tell the stories of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, and I gotta say, it was an absolute privilege to get to do that every day. I loved my job. Many times those stories were about people from communities in this district, Bell Island, Paradise, or Portugal Cove, St. Philip's.
Good evening, Heather Gillis filling in for Ashley. Let's talk about the weather that is on the way. We've got flurries for the west coast and the northern peninsula. Light snow there now. And that band of flurries is going to work its way across the island through central and east to us, where it could be more of a snow-rain mix or just rain. It will be a chilly night across much of the province with wind chill values pretty cold. We'll talk about that. And then those flurries will continue tomorrow for the west coast, northern peninsula with some sun and cloud in some other areas. Taking a look at our temperatures currently, 1, 2, 3 degrees in the east, as warm as 4 for the south coast, getting below freezing for much of Labrador, as cool as -15 for the Lab City Wabush area. Taking a look at the future tracker now. This is the band of flurries that I was talking about over the northern peninsula and the west coast, and it's going to push to central is around bedtime. And then for the south coast, you can see in the green there, it'll probably mix over the Burin Peninsula with a little bit of rain in there, and for the Avalon as well as it moves over in the overnight. We'll talk about amounts and all that a little later in the show.
Thanks, Heather. The largest proposed green hydrogen project in Newfoundland says it will have lots of excess energy in the winter, and it's hoping to sell that energy to Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro. As Here and Now's Ryan Cook reports, it could be more power than we get from Muskrat Falls.
John Risley can see a situation where power flows in both directions from World Energy GH2's massive wind to hydrogen project on the island's west coast.
You can imagine a relationship, as I say, which is very synergistic, in which we give power to the grid in the wintertime and take it in the summertime, and everybody saves money and does well.
In its final phase, the project will generate about 3 gigawatts of power, with an expected excess of 1 gigawatt in the winter months when the winds are the strongest. Now, if so, that excess is more than the capacity of Muskrat Falls.
You think about these numbers in the context of what it costs to build Muskrat Falls, which is 700 megawatts, then, you know, there's huge savings to be had here. Can we figure out how to work together with Newfoundland Hydro in a way that both parties benefit?
Hydro confirms it is working with World Energy GH2 on supply and demand. The company will need to draw 600 gigawatt hours of power in the summer, and that's about 20% of all power produced by Muskrat Falls. A spokesperson for Hydro says studies are ongoing about the feasibility and logistics of providing that much power. And they say it's not just World Energy, that other green hydrogen projects are also expected to be interested in both buying and selling electricity. Ryan Cook, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, as for NL Hydro, they have repeatedly said they need to double electricity production by 2050. Their CEO says they've had preliminary talks with World Energy, but so far Hydro is non-committal about buying any power from the company.
I could envision us in, within the next 10 years looking for another source of energy. And if there is a proponent in the province, a private proponent who has excess energy to sell, I could see us doing an RFP and may the best bid win. That's the way it should be. That's the way that customers would expect, and that's the way we get the best price. We already have 2 private wind farms here in the province, and we contract to them. So I could see wind playing a role wherever that comes from.
For the first time in more than 40 years, a swimmer from Memorial University holds an Atlantic University sport record. It's been a busy year for Chris Weeks, and he's not done yet. As Jeremy Eaton reports, he has his sights set on the Olympics.
One of the top swimmers in Canada right now is a teenager from Kilbride. Chris Weeks has been enjoying a lot of success in the water lately, and that is something that you probably didn't know. So, let me tell you.
22 on 110, 2 on 120. He couldn't swim a length. It was terrible. He was struggling halfway. He had to touch the side. And the kid was kind of a little bit older starting, so I think he was like 11 or 12. He came in, honestly, as a non-swimmer, and it just shows you, doesn't it? Just a little bit of focus and determination, you get to that level.
Trained steady through the summer, training for the 2023 Junior World Aquatics Championships, and competed for Canada. It's awesome. The university's been, super supportive, and I'm just really happy I can represent my community and my university at AUS Championships. Camp Pride 2023. It was a great meet, very good results, and it was really great to break some of those records. Memorial hasn't had a AUS record since the 80s, and it was really great to put us up there in the record books.
Be strong in there. I know this is tough. We do have U Sports coming up. We want a medal there for sure. He's ranked 1 or 2 right now with all university swimmers. And so he wants to bring home some medals. We want to bring home some victories to this university. Breathing pretty heavy here for just getting into it. Okay,
First step is to qualify long course for the Canadian Olympic Trials, and then you have to go there and succeed and make a final and win. and qualify under the Olympic time standard. 2028 is definitely probably a more reasonable goal, and I'll be training for that for the next 5 years. And you know, training hard every day, that's definitely a huge goal.
I think he's very talented. I think he's one of the best. He's still developing. I think we have to be patient with his development and make sure that he's doing all the right things, making sure that he's still enjoying himself. I think going forward, the future is very, very bright for him, as long as he has that support group around him and that he's happy.
I couldn't believe, it's like I watched a dream about myself.
For the 20th time, Collision Clinic gave a reconditioned vehicle to a family who needed it.
When did your bus pass expire?
Oh yes, yesterday.
Jeremy Eaton will have that story coming up.
How sweet. In the weather forecast today, temperatures not too bad across the province. We'll talk about where they're going coming up.
This holiday season, it's gonna be busy. It's gonna be emotional, but it's gonna be worth it. With Clubhouse, it's gonna be great.
When your friend suggests a quick stop first, it's okay to get a little excited. The best idea ever. Featuring the McDouble and Junior Chicken.
My patients who are experiencing sensitivity have to make compromises in their day-to-day life. Sensodyne Repair and Protect with Deep Repair. It goes deep into the tooth to help repair sensitive teeth. I recommend Sensodyne Repair and Protect with Deep Repair.
December to Remember is back, and it's time to play for daily prizes and rewards at alc.ca. Atlantic Lottery has cash, gift cards, and more to be won. December to Remember is second to none. There are 31 days of awesome surprises. And to add to the winning, 3 $10,000 grand prizes. Play online or the mobile app. There's a new offer each day. Make this a December to Remember at alc.ca.
It's the Drive It Home holiday event at your Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram dealer. 'Tis the season to be shopping with big discounts on our most popular models. Get 15% off MSRP on Ram Classic for up to $10,300 in discounts, plus get 4.99% financing. Or unwrap a Jeep Grand Cherokee, the most awarded SUV ever, with up to 10% off MSRP for up to $8,700 in discounts. It's the most wonderful time of the year at the Drive It Home holiday event.
This holiday season, when you're entertaining family and friends, think about buying locally made products from businesses like Rock Spirits, producers of Iceberg Vodka, Crystal Head Vodka, Golden Wedding, Seaweed Gin, Screech, and Land Sociables. When you do, you support the people who make these quality products right here at home. Buying local means supporting your community, and community is what the holiday season is all about. This holiday season, please buy local. NAPE. We are community.
We've worked too long and hard for this. You've only been here a few days.
Mary Brown's Chicken and Next Goal Wins wants you to score a team feast this holiday season. Get 10 pieces of signature chicken, new large mashed potatoes, medium gravy, medium salad, and 4 cinnamon biscuits, all for just $39.99. And enter for a chance to win a travel voucher worth $5,000. No purchase necessary. Only at Mary Brown's Chicken. Next Goal Wins. In theaters now.
Friday is Feed NL Day.
And CBC NL is partnering with the Community Food Sharing Association to help fill the shelves of food banks around the province.
The Here and Now team will be live with special musical guests right here at the Avalon Mall this Friday, December 15th, along with our on-the-go colleagues. It all starts at 4 p.m. on CBC Radio.
And we'll be live on TV half hour earlier than normal, 5:30 Island time, 5 o'clock in most of Labrador. So come on down and make a donation in person.
Or donate online. Just open the camera app on your smartphone and scan the QR code right now, or go to cbc.ca/bekind.
So join us live here at the Avalon Mall on Friday.
See you then. Well, it's certainly not the snowy scene you might expect this time of year, but crews are readying the loop at Bannerman Park in St. John's.
And temps need to be consistently low to make and maintain the ice that people skate on. So we looked it up, and it turns out the loop opened up on December 15th last year. But back in 2019, people had to wait until Tibbs Eve, December 23rd, in order to skate.
Now, the city says it hopes to open next week. So, Heather, how does that sound? Is there cold weather in the cards for next week?
Well, yeah, I saw a few zeros there, and I guess we can get into that when we do the weather towards the end of the show. So you're just going to have to stay tuned to find out. There are a few minus digits peppered in there, but I don't know. Will it be enough? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. The loop is just so great right before Christmas, isn't it? It gives lots of people to do during the break. But yesterday, look at this one in St. Anthony. That's not cold enough to make ice, is it? 12.1 degrees. And that was a new record set yesterday, smashing the old one of 7.8 by more than 4 degrees. And that old record set back in 1949. Twillingate tied a record 13.3. So warm temperatures there. Taking a look at today's highs, though, for much of the island, 3, 4, 5 degrees, the warmest there, of course, on the south coast. Getting cooler as we head northward and up across the Big Land, and minus 11 was your high today in Lab West. Talking about those flurries, because that's going to be the weather story for tonight and into tomorrow for the west coast. We currently have some over the northern peninsula and across the west coast as well. So what's going to happen is this band of flurries here is going to push into central by kind of bedtime, 10:30. It could be mixing along coastal areas in the Burin Peninsula with rain as this pushes through. So you could see rain, you could see a flurry, it could be some sort of mix. And as we move to the eastern part and over the Avalon, similar thing there, it'll move off by the morning. Now, taking a look at tonight, closer look, between 0 and 1 degree for the Avalon Peninsula and Burin Peninsulas, where we could see some rain or some snow, but mostly flurry icons right across the island. And as that band moves across parts of the island, we could see 2 millimeters and 2 centimeters for this part of the south coast here. For the Marystown area, we could see about 2 millimeters there as well. 2 centimeters possible for the central part of the island. And for the west coast, 2 to 4 for you folks, 10 in areas of higher terrain. Same thing for the St. Anthony area. You could see 2 to 4 for parts of southern Labrador. As for temperatures go, cool across Labrador, definitely into the below minus 10 is what I'm trying to say there. And when we take a look at the snow there, we could see a little bit of accumulation. You can see it happening here over those areas of higher terrain. Taking a look at our winds now in the 30 to 40, maybe even 50 regions for some parts of the province as we head into the overnight, and then picking up but backing off a little bit there as well. Taking a look at the wind chill, I want to show you this because I mentioned it off the top. It could be as cool as minus 23 in Lab West and minus 22 for Nain. For much of the west coast, anywhere from minus 12 to minus 14 and minus 17 with your wind chill for St. Anthony. Taking a look at the future trackers as we wake up tomorrow, some scattered flurries across much of the west coast is the story as for much of the day, then things clearing out in behind that. But then tomorrow, we will see some flurries picking up for Lab West. Taking a look at tomorrow now, temperatures between 0 and 2 degrees on the the Avalon. Could see some rain, snow in the overnight, then some sun and cloud after that. Cooler though for the Burin and Bonavista Peninsulas, -2 and -3 for you folks. As we move on into central Newfoundland, -3 through much of central where we could see a flurry, but sun and cloud mostly. Same thing for Harbour Breton along the south coast and the Conagra Peninsula, -2, your daytime high tomorrow. For the west coast, things dropping back a little bit there, -4 to -6 as you head up into Gros Morne. Cloudier there with a flurry in store as well. And as you head to the northern peninsula, seeing a little bit more sun, but picking up some flurries. Temperatures generally between -7 and -8 with your winds out of the northwest. And for tomorrow, for the Labrador area on the coast, anywhere between -7 and -11 from Nain to Makovic, -7 for Happy Valley Goose Bay, and -10 to 12 in Lab City and Churchill Falls, where it looks like we'll be seeing some sun and cloud for the most part, and a flurry in Nain. Again, you've got the best of it with a mix of sun and cloud. As for the temperatures for the loop, like Carolyn mentioned, off the top of the weather, we'll take a look at that and more going into the weekend a little later in the show.
Thanks so much, Heather. Well, an auto body shop in St. John's is keeping the spirit of giving alive once again this holiday season. For 20 straight years, the Collision Clinic has given away a reconditioned car to someone in need. This year's recipient, a Ukrainian woman who's working 2 jobs and raising 2 kids, all while her husband attempts to come to Canada. As Here and Now's Jeremy Eaton tells us, this gift couldn't have come at a better time.
That's 20 years, and this will be the 20th car that we presented here. And I couldn't be prouder of the team here at Collision Clinic today.
It's not every day that myself and others get to make a phone call to someone who happened to be riding the Metro bus when she got the call on the way to her second job. And it's not every day that somebody tells you it's one of the happiest moments of their life to get that news, and you know that this is a game changer.
All I have is my work, and now it's a big support for me. And now, yes, I will be work more harder. I want to receive PR here, and maybe the board, Ukraine opens the board, and my husband can come here. He come here. I believe in this. We try to build our new life here. I like this province. I like people here, and I 100% I am sure that I made right choice to come St. John's.
That's me. That's you.
20 years ago, we just realized that a lot of vehicles that are damaged, I mean, this is what we do, so it's a natural fit. Vehicles get damaged and they just go to waste. I mean, they get written off, not just for economical reasons. So we decided that if we took a car and we got it reconditioned and then just picked somebody that we could give it to at Christmas. It was just one time that we decided, and then it just took off from there and it continued on, and here we are 20 years later.
How do you feel?
Good.
Good?
Yes.
There are so many applications, so many, you're reading stories that will literally break your heart. And we say wow, I wish there were a dozen cars that could be given away. So it is really narrow. It's very, very difficult narrowing it down to just one.
I start crying, and people start looking for me because I was on bus, and I couldn't believe. It's like I watch a dream about myself. It's something like this. I looking at.
And when did your bus pass expire?
Oh yes, yesterday.
Yesterday.
Well, I will certainly do it for as long as I can. And I don't see this something that we'd stop doing, because we just love doing it. And I'll keep it going for as long as I can.
Everybody is different. So we have hundreds of people that come here every single day, and every one of them has a different circumstance.
Well, we've heard about safety concerns, complaints about conditions inside St. John's shelters. Tonight, we're taking you inside the gathering place.
There's not a lot to do here except play music and have a good time, you know.
Yeah, you know, unemployment breeds creativity.
You know, when Friday came around, it wasn't like, oh, what are we going to do? It was just like, okay, who's playing at the hall tonight?
Just when that, you know, Seattle thing was just affecting like the radio and stuff, there was this whole amazing scene that was happening here.
We just really wanted to sound like what we were listening to.
What had been a vibrant underground scene at that particular point exploded.
He was the one who was organizing most of the shows.
He was this enigma that just lived at CHMR.
I don't know what made it so special then, but it was special.
Housing and homelessness have been in the spotlight ever since tents were pitched in front of Confederation Building in October. Now the protest has moved to Bannerman Park, where people continue to sleep in tents. Many there say they don't feel safe sleeping in shelters in St. John's. Today we had a tour of one of those shelters, the Gathering Place. We spoke with staff and volunteers, and we'll bring you that feature next week. But tonight we'll talk about those safety concerns with Executive Director Paul Davis. How do you respond to someone who says that they're scared to stay here because of violence or drug use? What's your response to them?
Yeah, so I mean, I get it. If someone is not accustomed to having to stay in this environment, I totally get how this could be intimidating or difficult, challenging, or would make a person uncomfortable, nervous, or frightened to have to live in a space like this. But we've done a tremendous amount of work in the last couple of years on safety. Our shelter is staffed by 3 staff every night, and we have 2 security guards. We use a company that's also used by healthcare, so we have similar policies and environments that they're used to and accustomed to, plus the training is consistent with what we try to achieve here. And we have a security guard now here in the daytime, so we actually have security on site 24 hours a day. So it's a complicated and challenging balance to find, because we are low barrier. So we allow people with all kinds of backgrounds and personal circumstances to come into space. We ask everyone who comes into space, if it be a guest or a volunteer or a staff person or a service provider, to follow 3 rules. That is to respect yourself, respect others, and respect the space. And as long as you do that, you can come in. So if a person is active in their addiction, that's okay. If you can follow those 3 rules, as I just mentioned, that's okay. We're still welcome you in the space. If you have a chronic or a mental health circumstance that's impacting your life, as long as you can respect yourself, respect others, respect the space, we welcome you in, and we will work with you and try to provide for you and assist you and support you.
Mm-hmm. Some people have said that they were here and they see someone using drugs like in the bed right next to them.
We ask people not to bring drugs into the site and on site, and we actually give them a brown paper bag to put in their drugs or drug paraphernalia, personal items and so on, and we have lockers here in the space as well, and there's a locker for every bed, so we'll lock it in the locker. And if someone needs to go outside during the night, we allow them to do that.
What would you do if you did see someone using drugs in this space?
Well, they'd likely, if staff saw that, they'd be asked to leave. They'd be asked not to do that, they'd be asked to leave. Probably given a warning or a caution that if it happens again, you may be out for more than just a short period of time, and it may result in a restriction from you utilizing the services or coming here.
We're here today and you're showing us around, kind of showcasing a lot of the services that are offered here. So you're clearly very proud of what you do here. What is it like for you when you do hear the people who have been staying over in Bannerman Park in tents? What's it like for you to hear them say, I'm here in this tent because I'm too afraid to come over to the Gathering Place?
Yeah, so it was never easy to hear, and I can assure you it's not easy for our staff to hear that either. So we've had some vacancies here in the last few weeks, mostly in the women's section of the shelter. And it's important for people to know that sometimes we do have those vacancies and to come here. But I can tell you here, we do our very best. You can see this place is going through a cleaning right now. So our typical day happens late in the afternoon. Newfoundland and Labrador Housing will let us know who to expect here tonight. Our shelter staff come in for the evening. We open up the doors at 8 o'clock, and guests who have been here overnight after night after night will come through the building, inside the building to come here. New shelter guests will come through the door outside the main entrance to come in. There's a fairly brief admissions process that happens. We provide a snack bag and food, kind of the Costco snacks kind of items. There's tea and coffee, microwave. We sometimes have sandwiches here donated from Starbucks and those types of places. Just clean washrooms and showers, and we can get you clean clothes, get you to bed. In the morning when you get up, we start to wake people up around 7:30, and then they can move upstairs to the building and go for a breakfast. And then the place is fully cleaned, stripped out and cleaned every single day. And then it starts all over again.
No one wants to stay in a shelter.
Absolutely right.
But if you had the option yourself to either stay in one of these cots overnight or sleep in a tent in Bannerman Park, what would you choose?
I'd be in one of these. I trust the staff that work here. I trust the programs that we have put in place, the policies that we have. And while we do have incidents that occur here, we have hundreds of people go through every single day, and our staff are very well equipped to deal with those. We use processes of de-escalation versus force. There's none of that force or anything like that happens here. It's about de-escalating, understanding the circumstances, understanding where a person is coming from. We do want a safe space. We want a warm, comfortable, and clean space where people can come in. You met some guests today who are volunteering, and they're very proud of the space because they become part of the solution. And you heard someone clean up outdoors, and you've heard from someone who works in our boutique and so on. And that can change mindsets as well, giving people purpose and also making them part of that solution. So it's a complex operation, but it's really, really important work. And it's important for us to make our best efforts that if there is someone outside who needs a bed, that we have an arrangement or an understanding set that they can come in here and feel relatively safe.
Okay, well, Paul Davis, thank you so much.
No, it's a pleasure. I'm glad you came in. There's a lot goes on here, and I can't be thankful enough for the people who work here, but also for the community that supports us every single day.
So as I mentioned, Paul Davis took me on a tour through the gathering place today. I got to meet some of the many people who work there, and will return to the St. John's Shelter for more of my conversations with its staff and volunteers. That's next week on Here and Now. Gerard Smith, a senior athlete on PEI, certainly isn't slowing down. The 81-year-old was inducted into the PEI Sports Hall of Fame in 2018. And as you're about to hear, Smitty, as he's called, is still going strong.
Can I call you Smitty?
Sure. Everybody else does, so.
He comes to the rink every day to be competitive.
But he's a lot of fun to be around, and it's just a joy to see him out here and making the effort that he makes every day.
He's telling us young fellas that age is just a number.
You don't get old by playing. You get old if you don't play.
We play noon-hour hockey twice a week. We play on Monday and Thursdays from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock.
And what would the age range be here?
Well, we're saying anywhere, some people take the noon hours off from work, so anywhere probably from 35 up to 81.
I mean, it'd be no good coming out here if you didn't get shot at. I mean, yeah, some go by you, some hit you.
Some hit the post?
That's right. It's all part of it.
I think it's amazing. And to compete, the level that he competes at is much like a teenager would. He's up, he's down, he's making the saves, and there's nothing he hates worse than being scored on.
I never learned to skate till I was 16. And I don't know, because I got going late in life, I played with St. Dunstan's, I played with Sandy's Royals, and then the Islanders in '81, that's when I called it quits. And I put my gear away, and 6 years later, I get back into it. 35 years later, I'm still here.
It's just only recently, maybe within the last 5 years, he was inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame. You know, so his coaching too would be as valuable as his playing time was. You know, he spent a lot of time in the rink coaching as well after he retired.
You know, I look for this Air Canada Cup to be just super hockey. Every game's going to be competitive.
He was a phenomenal ball player, a phenomenal hockey player, but he gave back to the sports, and he coached. He coached everything from soccer, baseball, to hockey when he taught school and all that. He coached at every level, from minor hockey to junior hockey, and he just gave back. And he just loves the kids, and he loves people playing the sports.
Any time that you compete and feel good about your game and realize that when you left the field or left the rink that you did your best, that's a bonus.
A new report from Statistics Canada indicates the amount Canadians owe relative to their income dipped slightly. On average, they owe $1.82 in debt for every dollar of disposable household income. That's a slight improvement from the previous quarter. It shows that people are bringing in more disposable income than they owe in credit debt. But the cost of servicing that debt has crept higher. The cost of borrowing has risen since the Bank of Canada started raising interest rates last year. Well, debt doesn't seem to be slowing down shoppers, though. It's just 12 days till Christmas, and some of the world's best-known retailers are marking the festive season with an extravaganza of light and sound.
Let's light up the night!
Saks Fifth Avenue has teamed up with Dior to feature iconic scenes from New York and Paris. The immersive show covers all 10 stories of the flagship location in New York. Luxury department store Bergdorf Goodman continued its 150-year tradition of decorated windows with the theme, "Isn't it brilliant?" Iconic retailers Bloomingdale's chose a sweet theme this year, partnering with the movie Wonka. Lastly, Macy's windows invited visitors to sing and take pictures. The store's theme this year is Give Love.
A season of giving, a season of kindness. Let's make the season kind for those in need. CBC is helping support local food banks this holiday season. Visit cbc.ca/bekind to find out how you can help.
All right, so time for a look at the long-range forecast as we inch closer and closer to Christmas. Not a whole lot on the go, it seems, weather-wise, in terms of like storms or nothing like that.
Fairly
on the
quiet.
horizon.
Ashley left me a good one.
Good.
Yeah, we were talking about the loop earlier, and I know they build that in layers and layers. And I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think it has to be under 5 degrees for them to start making that ice. So it looks like we might have weather to do that. It's going to get warmer on Monday. It looks like the trend will be right across the province. But
hopefully. That would be nice to have that on the go before Christmas.
Nice and Christmassy and nice activity to do outdoors instead of being cooped up inside. But let's take a look what's in store for Friday. So as we see here on Friday, it looks like there's some snow moving into Labrador West, and that's going to push right across Labrador there Friday into the overnight, and then through parts of the Northern Peninsula and West Coast as we move into Friday evening. Taking a closer look at the temperatures now for Friday for the island, it looks like it's just going to be about 0 degrees straight across the board for the eastern, central, and western part of the island. It will be cloudy. We will have a chance of flurries for the most part, and it will be windy as well, but we will for sure have some flurries for the West Coast and the Northern Peninsula, where it'll be a little bit cooler on the Northern Peninsula and St. Anthony at -2 compared to the rest of the island. Across Labrador, it looks like we'll see a chance of flurries there as well. Pretty mild temperatures for you folks between -1 in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and -2 there on the coast, and -4 in Lab City, Wabush. As we move on to Saturday, we see some of that precipitation starting to move off and a scattered flurry there over the west coast and southwest coast as well. You could possibly see some here along the north coast of Labrador. Saturday, as we take a closer look now, it looks like our temperatures will be a little bit more varied than they seem to be on Friday. 2 degrees in St. John's for the Avalon and Marystown, 0 through central Newfoundland and southwest coast, -1 for Corner Brook. We will see some flurries in Corner Brook, and anywhere else you see a snow icon, that's going to be a chance of flurries for Saturday. For St. Anthony, the Straits, Big Land, -4, -5, -7 respectively there, and as cool as -11 for Labrador City, Wabush, where we will see some sun and cloud. It looks like you folks don't have a snow icon there for Saturday. So it looks like you'll have a clear and cool day. Taking a look at that 5-day forecast now that we were talking about earlier. See a couple zeros there for Thursday and Friday and a few snowflakes. Saturday, Sunday, not looking bad, warming up a touch, but that's that warming trend there with some showers possible on Monday at 8 degrees. As we move into central and western Newfoundland, we will see flurries throughout the rest of this week to Saturday, with your temperatures below freezing or around the freezing mark for your daytime highs, warming up again. That trend on Monday. For Labrador, it looks like we'll see flurries through eastern Labrador. Sunday looking like a nice day. Chilly on Saturday though. And for western Labrador, looking similar. Weekend looking lovely for you. Here is our picture today.
Beautiful.
From Happy Valley, Goose Bay. It's just stunning. Snowy Christmas trees, and you can see the Labrador flag there in that one in the center with the white and the blue and the green.
Oh, fantastic. So much snow. There are lights under there, but the snow is just really covering it. It's so pretty.
And it's pretty on the trees when you don't have to shovel it.
Totally. Absolutely. All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your night with us.
Good night.